A list of Trump figures who apparently won't be indicted by Robert Mueller. On Friday, Attorney General William Barr announced that he had received Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report explaining his prosecutorial decisions during his nearly two-year investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election and any potential nexus to the Trump campaign. Per the requirements, multiple news also reported that Department of Justice officials were saying that there would be no more indictments from Mueller's office, but it's unclear what that means precisely. BuzzFeed News: of course, there could be further indictments from separate U.S. attorneys' offices such as the Southern District of New York, which has already won a guilty plea from Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen and has the president in Cohen's crimes. It has been Mueller's. Here's a quick rundown of who those people are and what they might have had to fear from Robert Mueller. Donald Trump Jr. Last month, The Atlantic's Natasha Bertrand on HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher that the president's son was telling associates that he expected to be indicted in the Mueller probe. A spokesman for Trump Jr. probably faced the most scrutiny from Mueller's team for a June 2016 meeting he took with a Russian lawyer who was later indicted in relation to her work with Russia and who an intermediary had promised would offer dirt on Hillary Clinton delivered as part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. Trump Jr. Theoretically, Trump Jr. might have faced charges for conspiracy against the United States if Mueller had uncovered evidence that the meeting was part of a broad effort to help Russia interfere in the 2016 election. It also seemed that there might be a case to be made against Trump Jr. for lying to Congress, a charge to which Cohen had pleaded guilty in the Mueller probe. Trump Jr. There's still the matter of the Southern District of New York's investigation into illegal hush money payments that Cohen made to women who have alleged that they had affairs with Trump. During testimony, Jared Kushner was one of the other Trump campaign attendees of the Trump Tower meeting and he would face similar scrutiny as Trump Jr. for that. Mueller also Ivanka Trump. While President Trump's eldest daughter never received nearly as much attention as her brother or husband, it was reported last fall that Mueller was in the Trump Tower Moscow deal. And her possible role. Eric Prince, the Blackwater founder and brother of Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, was interviewed at length by phone and computer records to Mueller's investigators. Mueller was Paul Manafort. In Mueller's most successful prosecution, the former Trump campaign chairman was to 7.5 years in prison earlier this month for charges related to work he did outside of the Trump campaign. There was an open Brad Parscale. Like Kushner, Parscale is the current campaign manager for Trump's 2020 re-election effort and led its digital work in 2016. He would have likely faced scrutiny over his work with Cambridge Analytica, and whether or not there were any connections to Russia. He will not face Roger Stone. Like his longtime friend Manafort, the former Trump advisor has already been ensnared in the Mueller probe, but faced the potential for additional charges on top his 7-count indictment in January for his alleged efforts to obstruct the probe. Stone's contact, Jerome Corsi. The conservative media gadfly was after Mueller's probe was wrapped without an indictment against him. Mueller had to get
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.